Dear America, I gaze on a star-spangled night sky of American mythology, our founding ideals realized in the legends and folklore of our past. Ideals that are so well-worn and universal that they can be incorporated for any situation, and in turn lose what makes them so poignant for today. Myths are foundational and powerful, influencing how people see themselves as Americans, informing our culture and identity. Is it possible to reinvent ourselves when our myths stay stagnant? Once intended for unity and hope, these myths of heroes, our founding, of progress and conflict, deter us from seeking an identity that unites us today. This uncritical exploration of the past is a disservice to our American story. Myths of our past generate myths of our present, but myths only hold power if we choose to believe in them. Instead, these myths must be replaced with the real history, the struggle, the complexity, if we are to learn and be inspired. We are a nation with a history of contradictions, and we should recognize that. Our history does not need to be clean and neat. Our messy history informs our messy present and offers the hope that we can be better. Better not just because we know the mistakes of the past, but because we know how that history shapes today. This is the history we know and understand. History is a process. We are all continuously navigating our paths and finding what we add to the story. The founders didn't all agree on what the founding documents meant and how they should be interpreted. That was left for us to interpret and reinterpret as each generation has done before us. And it's this generation's turn. Our turn to actualize the ideals of past generations, forge our own, and recognize the role the next generation will have. To guide that process, again, I look to our history. In 1778, Thomas Jefferson put forth a Virginia bill for the more general diffusion of knowledge, believing that the most effectual means of preventing tyranny would be to illuminate the minds of the people at large, and more especially to give them knowledge of those facts which history exhibiteth. A bill that would form a publicly funded school system. A bill that was also killed multiple times. Looking at the historical record, things take time to happen in this country, and cycles repeat. It often takes the next generation to cultivate these stellar nurseries that make up our American ideals. 1796 saw the birth of a man in Massachusetts who would go on to begin the work needed to fulfill this dream. It was this next generation that created in earnest a robust public education system to fit the needs of the people, growing with the nation and including more people than previous generations planned.
And liftoff of the Space Shuttle Discovery with the Hubble Space Telescope.
Americans among the stars have yet a better lesson than one wrapped in the cloak of mythology. A generation inspired by previous accomplishments in space. The Space Shuttle program changed the purpose of spaceflight. No longer was it a race against another nation to plant a flag on the moon, but an opportunity to conduct long-term research to better inform futures unimaginable. We learned to look beyond ourselves, observing not only the Earth, but our place in the universe. Space opened to more people than ever before. Preparing for the future of humankind in space, we studied the impacts of life and work in microgravity. When Space Shuttle first launched, the results would take decades to fully realize. We will have to live in the future, so we should be the ones setting the course. With this perspective, our priorities may differ from previous generations. In my community of central Indiana, there flows a river. Cities developed around it, and generations have called this river home. Over 100 years of pollution and fish kills were halted when one generation decided to fundamentally change its view of the river. After one of the worst fish kills in the history of the country, cities hundreds of miles apart came together to clean the river. Nurturing what connected us, and in the process formed new connections and new identities. This river is now understood as a vital and living part of the community. It's hard to improve on a mythical understanding of this country, but there is plenty to be inspired from our history. It may take time to live up to our potential, but it's each generation's role to continue pursuing it with the future in mind. If the past is prologue, what we do now sets the precedent for tomorrow. We know our history. We can shepherd our future.